World of Warcraft game director Ian Hazzikostas didn't say it outright, but he did imply it. The add-on slaughter begins at midnight. In 2026, your favorite combat add-ons will be executed. I know that sounds like a lot, but here's what happened. PC Gamer's Heather Newman got to grill him on add-ons and what Blizzard's plan is. This is the same reporter who got Ian to admit that patch 11.1.5 was a bit of a nightmare. Naturally then, he let slip a lot more than they're ready to announce, and what he managed not to say is almost even more telling. So strap in, this one's pretty big. And I'm also going to do something. I'm going to cast a blessing of protection on you. Yes, apparently I'm a paladin, but no, data stories hit us every week. Like, say, when British Telecom had a breach that exposed loads of my family who, at the time, were not protected in the way that I am with today's sponsor, Incogni. They've just got even better, and yes, I now also have the family plan. Their core service already scrubs your data for more than 250 broker sites, and it keeps your data down with continuous suppression sweeps. But even better, the new unlimited plan adds custom removals. So if you spot your details online anywhere, right, paste the URL into your Incogni dashboard and their privacy team will file a legal takedown. They'll actually go and do it. And in about 45 days, you'll find that page is gone. Now, there's no limit in submission, so you can just keep feeding links until your search results are spotless and there are not things that just mess up your peace of mind and would allow people to know things about you that they shouldn't. Basically, I kind of see this as like routine maintenance for my digital life, or, being a big Warcraft nerd, it's a bit like blessing and protection from a paladin. So, if you want the same peace of mind, head to incogni.com/Bellular Warcraft. You'll get 60% off the annual unlimited plan and get yourself a clean slate online. He said they aren't touching combat add-ons in patch 11.1.7. They're not touching them in 11.2 either. In corporate speak, that means we, have to do a bit of deduction, meaning that they're doing it afterwards. And that means they're doing it in midnight, which is the next big thing. And if that seems soon to you, think about the last few months. No one saw the player housing news coming, but it's been in the works for years. We didn't expect the cooldown manager. The one-button assistant took us all by surprise. So here's the thing. If we expect the unexpected, we should expect Blizzard to move fast. Blisteringly fast. Perhaps, moving fast and breaking things. And we should expect it on everything that they talk about. And my god, Ian talked about a lot here. They are clearly further than they are letting on. This is coming close. Here's what matters most then. He told us which add-ons are marked for death. It is combat add-ons only. That means quest helpers will survive, gathering add-ons will survive, RP add-ons, UI customization, all of those will survive. Now, by calling it slaughter, maybe we're exaggerating slightly. He said they're not out just to smash add-ons purely because they're add-ons. Instead, they want to fix problems, and they want to do so with as little collateral damage as is possible. But of course, there will be some. So here's their plan. They want to keep shipping their own add-on replacements. And once they're happy that those things work, well, that's when they send in the troops. So maybe these add-ons won't be dead on midnight launch day, but there is a good chance they will die shortly after. Ian used examples. As a big one, boss timelines. Now, this shows us how far along they are. Because if they kill deadly boss mods and bigwigs without replacing them, what happens? Players will just turn to something else. I don't know, like YouTube videos that do callouts on a timer or some weird thing where, you can synchronize a YouTube video to the start of your pull timer. Things like that would be awful. Blizzard clearly doesn't want that, and you can actually tell they've thought this through, and they have a kind of smart solution. Before they kill what they're planning, they'll have official boss mods in the game. Yes, official Blizzard boss mods. And also an official Blizzard damage meter. And Ian actually let slip some concrete details. Here's what they're planning then. Removing combat log access, getting rid of aura hooks. And killing combat log access will completely kill existing boss mods. That's the bread and butter of how they function. It'll kill damage meters as well. And that's because that's how those things check for spell casts and damage events. Take getting rid of aura hooks. Well, that means that add-ons can't read your buffs and your debuffs. That will just gut Hikili, as one example. It'll gut most WeakAuras as well. That's everything impacted, from your class auras to your party cooldown trackers. That's a lot, and if it was all to happen at once, there would be real implications. Things like, say, you having no interrupt tracking. Yes, no interrupt tracking. If Blizzard doesn't replace it with an official solution, then you'll just have to call your kicks manually using voice, or organize them, right, with your teammates ahead of time. But there is some good news though. Ian said that if something needs to be tracked, they will make it part of WoW's default UI. As an example, he called out tank swaps by name. There are going to be new and obvious cues of when you should do a tank swap. That means that instead of having DBM scream at you once the right number of stacks ticks up, there'll be something in WoW to do it naturally. That's actually kind of good news in a way, I think, because it is a bit arcane and bizarre that you just have to, count a stack of something that by default is placed over in Narni at the top right of your screen. There's some even better news as well. Instead of letting you track things like interrupts, Blizzard might actually go the other way. They might change the dungeons so they need fewer interrupts, fewer stops, so that essentially you don't miss not having that functionality because you no longer need it. I think it's fair to say that the ongoing arms race has led to World of Warcraft being just absolutely full of bing bing wahoo and things to track that for a lot of people it's overwhelming. That creates the need for add-ons. If Blizzard wants to solve that by fixing the need problem instead of the add-on problem, well, actually, I'm kind of all for that. So here's their goal, right? If the add-on slaughter makes the game harder, they will then make it easier at the same time to compensate so there's balance, and the same goes for raids. As an example, that means less swirlies. Random swirlies. They're just there to change the signal to noise ratio, I guess, a weird form of difficulty. The same will go for other things, like say you having more time to react to mechanics, so you don't feel like you need highly granular customized boss timers. It'll mean simpler things to organize as a group because now you'll actually have to do the thing yourself instead of have an add-on tell you what to do. And I'd say if you're a caster, that's going to be music to your ears. It'll mean less interrupting yourself as you have to step out of swirlies and nonsense and stuff that I think has, pretty convincingly made World of Warcraft a less fun game experience. That thing on being a caster really hit me. That just the existence of swirlies makes playing a caster so much less fun for me that now I'm basically melee only. And if we're to think about when you should do such a large change, there's one obvious point in time, an expansion launch, because that is the resetting of the board. Otherwise, if they did it, say, halfway through an expansion, then they'd have to design Midnight's dungeons twice. First at launch, and then again after they have done all of the changes that Ian has talked about. Now, there's one thing you may be real worried about, and that's, say, Warcraft logs, and your ability to just look at your performance after the fact. Good news, because even with combat log access gone, logging tools will survive. If you're wondering why, it's because they read logs that are written to file after the fight. Now, that doesn't mean the Blizzard couldn't just kill logging entirely. They absolutely could, but if they're only doing this via the hooks that Ian described, then your Warcraft log stuff is fine and going to be safe. I would actually put money in Warcraft logs being safe, especially since Ian likes Warcraft logs. He actually does like it. He uses it in game industry talks. So, those are the most important things that Ian actually said, but as always, you cannot take a game director at face value, especially one for such a massive company, and that does mean we've got to read in between the lines. Okay, here's what he really said. WoW is heading towards rapid and radical change. The game is going to be very different and very soon. He knows the damage they've accidentally done since Legion. He obviously knows it. I just feel it when you listen to him. They are basically going to hit the undo button. Now, if you weren't around and you don't know what I mean, don't worry, I'll explain, right? WoW was basically reborn with Legion. Every spec was redesigned with tons of artifact traits. This built the foundations of today's insanely complicated classes. Then there were legendaries, which made this even crazier. Then they added massive rotation-changing chase items to the game. Mythic Plus added a whole new way to play, people started to massively sweat it, and this all made those complexities a necessity to master, and since then, it's only escalated. Artifacts were left in Legion, but many of their effects were baked into our classes. Azerite Armor, well, that added lots of passive buffs, lots of procs, so many in fact that the game's servers literally had performance issues. Then Shadowlands chucked in even more legendaries into the pile, and continually, the good legendaries, the good Azerite traits, those were all folded back into the dough. Then Dragonflight codified it all with the new talent trees, and now hero talents. So no wonder people feel like they need WeakAuras and Hakili, and no wonder Blizzard wants to kill them. But to do that right, They need to tone down all this madness first. This is the sort of thing that makes World of Warcraft look like strange, impenetrable, arcane mystery, but at the pace of a bunch of skibbity toilet TikToks. I know that sounds like a weird thing. It's not a natural thing for me to say, but that's the strange thing about WoW. Its theory crafting is turbo nerd. Its second-to-second gameplay is absurdly super fast ADHD. It's mad. And we see the impact of this arms race on our bosses. WoW bosses have got more interesting in recent expansions, but they've also gotten extremely fast. Every raid has at least one swirly, spamming nightmare boss where you're just looking at your character's feet, just mildly annoyed. You've got mechanics that give you almost zero time to react. There's a reason why. Because Blizzard knows your add-on will just blow literally an air horn in your ears and flash something on your screen and tell you what to do. But without that add-on, well, Blizzard no longer needs to challenge you in the same way. And that means there's more design space freed up to get cool, unique stuff. I mean, I'm gonna go off-piste here, but you know in like the field of animation, right? You've got anticipation, wheeling up for the punch. All those things that just, by the classic rules of animation, are so important. But in video game terms, well, if Blizzard has got to challenge you really, really quickly, it becomes hard for them to make big, awesome set pieces. Because the way that players are challenged, the tools that players have are like a weird autopilot that'll tell you if there's anything you ever need to know. That actually ruins so much game design. And so the bull case for this is that without all of that gumph, we'll actually get the cool, unique stuff, that will get a better signal-to-noise ratio in our game, that will have none of the brutal, relentless spam of avoidable damage that makes World of Warcraft less approachable, less accessible, but also massively less fun and less interesting. And that means that if Legion was basically WoW 2.0, then Midnight might be where WoW 3.0 starts. Okay, so I've told you and showed you what Ian said, then we've talked about the overall implications and reading in between the lines. But where it gets interesting is, similar things have been said literally, officially. Blizzard sent a message to an add-on developer Discord. In the message they said this, quote, "Removing the ability for add-ons to solve most encounter mechanics means that we can take a different approach to the design of our encounters going forward. The same goes for certain class mechanics. The goal is to make our class mechanics more approachable, easier to understand without add-on solutions." And look, take a game like, say, Elden Ring. In some ways you could say it's not particularly fast-paced. It doesn't have a crazy amount of different inputs that a player can make, or an insane number of things for players to deal with at once. But what is there is careful, great design, precision, and at a pace where a player can actually feel the designer's intent. And I think that's something that arguably WoW Classic, actually, with its pacing, was able to stumble upon, and it's something that modern WoW has undoubtedly lost. That statement sent to that Discord is all of this right from Blizzard's own mouth. Basically, the add-on slaughter is not there to kill add-ons out of spite and hatred. I mean, developers typically think other developers are awesome. Add-on devs are awesome, right? Developers! Play the Steve Ballmer meme. Anyway, they're doing this because Blizzard is finally fixing what we've been complaining about for years, that add-ons play the game for us, and that makes it less fun. And it seems this is starting with Midnight, right? Where WoW's dungeons, raids, and classes might look way different. Now, you think I'm exaggerating? Think about the last time we saw big class changes in WoW. It was patch 11.1. There were none whatsoever in the last 0.5 patch, and there are none in the upcoming 0.7 patch either. And that's as compared to a Blizzard that was shipping class changes all the time. It's really weird. It's completely unlike recent Blizzard. I mean, we might see a stack of class changes in patch 11.2. It is a major patch after all, but I have a bit of an inkling here that something else is happening. I think they've shifted gears. I think they're changing classes for the post-add-on world. The one that they are willing to enforce. That's the difference. And it will be a different world. Here's what they said about WoW's future. It's a quote. "If everything goes to plan, WoW will remain challenging, but the nature of that challenge will be different. Less about managing the subtleties of class mechanics, more about collaborating with allies and interacting with encounters." And honestly, that's music to my ears. That's what I think will make for more memorable, exciting bosses and memories that I make with the people I play this game with. That's all a bit meta too. This whole World Soul Saga thing is not just about a new approach to WoW's story, it's clearly a new approach to gameplay as well. And if you still don't believe me, well, this message said details are coming in, quote, the coming months. We're going to know soon. Now, they said they are giving many months of advance notice to these add-on developers. Now, with that in mind, take a look at WoW's development cycle. There's only one way they can put up a build with that much notice. That is in an alpha. And if it's in the coming months, it will be the alpha of World of Warcraft Midnight. And for everything he's left between the lines, there's also everything he didn't say, or perhaps won't admit. Not because he's a bad dude, obviously, because, you know, you're a game director, you do actually have to be media trained and so on. So let's dive into the spicy bits. One thing he said shocked us in the Guild's Discord. He said that their challenging task ahead will be the players. And it's rare you hear that. Specifically, it's getting players to accept that Blizzard's defaults are 96% of perfect. 96%. I don't know where he got that number. Maybe he just saw 96 come to him in his wildest dreams. Or maybe he just reversed the numbers of 69 and it turns out he's just a bit of a goblin. Who knows, but 96 is a pretty high number. What I'd contend with is, I love the plan, I love the vision, but I think that's way beyond what Blizzard is currently capable of. Have you looked at the cooldown manager lately? Have you? I mean, that's not 96%. It's not even 69%. I'd say it's 60 at most. That's conservative. Here's the thing. The first 80% of perfect comes easy. It's kind of called the 80-20 rule for a reason, right? It's the last 20% that's tough. And it's the last 20% that's, you know, where something is, say, rather than a BlackBerry, is an iPhone, and therefore can surprise and delight a far larger audience, which I have to assume is basically their goal here. So, add-on developers, right, in making all the solutions we have today, have had years and years and years and years and years of iteration, years of work, zero restraints except for the API. But Blizzard, they are like a tank that's racing someone on, I don't know, like a very fast bike with all of the CCs that's very powerful, and that's kind of the thing. Blizzard in their big lumbering tank. Very big, very powerful, but also Blizzard are slow and clumsy. That nimble add-on developer in their bike can run circles around Blizzard in their big, slow tank. And that's what they've been doing for years. That's why we call it the add-on arms race. So I don't know if Blizzard really has a chance here. It will be hard. I mean, imagine their version of details. Is that going to let you give, custom nicknames to your teammates? Will it show damage graphs after the dungeon? Show health pot usage? What about interrupts? Will their boss mods have options for a timeline view like the one that we've been using WeakAuras to do for years now because, well, I just think it's a way better UI for that kind of thing. We can't say. And you've probably felt a whole twinge of doubt as I was laying out the big plan, the big vision. I think that doubt's completely justified and justifiable. As much as I love Blizzard's vision, and if I could wave a wand and I guess just be wherever Ian wants to take us, I'd wave that wand. But in reality, the future of WoW hinges on Blizzard being realistic. Now, it's good they've opened talks with add-on devs, but this is a truly massive undertaking. If Blizzard can pull this off, WoW could slowly work its way to a new era, one that is way more fun, that I want. Way healthier for every class of player, and actually sustainable on development. But that's a really, really big if. And we will just have to wait and see if they can manage. But what you don't have to wait and see for is, in fact, this next video on The Last Titan and some of the really cool lore stuff that's being cooked up.